Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the webinar series, What Virtual Space Are You Building for Your Business? I'm your host, Stefan, and I'm here today with my colleague Phoebe, who you can speak with via the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. Please let her know if you can hear me and if you can see me, and feel free to ask her any questions throughout today's talk. She'll collect all of them and then make sure that they get to me during the live Q&A at the end, and I'll try to answer them. So episode 2 of the series. In today's talk, we will be speaking about the real estate industry. And for those of you who have been with us for a while or are familiar with iStaging, you may know that we have been servicing the real estate industry for a very long time, actually probably since the beginning of iStaging, enabling real estate agents and realtors and property managers and real estate photographers to easily capture and create virtual tours to basically empower them to do it themselves. And well, right now, I think most of you know that virtual tours are also much more common. It's become more of the standard in the industry, which was very different years ago. But in today's talk, we're going to be, I'm going to say something about a question or a request that we've heard a lot over the past couple of years, and it is related to 3D staging and virtual staging. One of the reasons is probably because there are a company named iStaging, and that's probably because we did stuff related to virtual staging very early on. But I'm very glad that today we are able to show you something and hopefully help you out with these types of requests, because it is something that the real estate industry or real estate agents or anyone involved has been has had a challenge with. If you have a property that you're looking to sell or to rent out, and if it's not furnished, if it's completely empty, or if you have a property that doesn't look so great, there might be some furniture, but it doesn't look so great. How can I make that look attractive? And especially online, because online is nowadays, probably 99% of the people, get their first experience or their first look at the property online. And if that's not really interesting or doesn't look that good, there's a high chance they might not, inquire about it or want to visit it in person. And if you are in the real estate industry, you also know that if you do physical staging, which is still very, very common, it can cost you hundreds, even thousands of dollars every single month. So, a solution like that, where we can sort of combine all of these aspects together, will, hopefully help you guys out and do it for a lot less money. So not too expensive. So in today's talk, it's essentially two parts. Number one is a showcase. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share a couple of samples that include a dollhouse, an actual virtual tour, measurements, a bird view, a top view, a 3D rendered staged property, and a side-by-side comparison. And yes, that sounds like a lot to all include in one, but that's what I'm going to show you today. And number two is how you actually can get to that result. So in terms of the creation of it, you're going to be doing 50% of the work, and we will be doing about 50% of the work. And the creation of the virtual tour is on your side. And I want to give you a couple of tips to actually get to the best result. But more on that a little bit later. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go. I'm going to show you immediately show the sample. So let me just open that and give me a few seconds. All right. I think you should be able to see my screen right now. I will be checking with Phoebe every once in a while to see if the audio and video is still good. Now, this is something that a lot of you are probably familiar with. It is a dollhouse. So it basically gives you a good overview of the actual structure of the property, how the rooms are connected, the size of the rooms. I can, go anywhere I want to go. I can look all around. You see the names of every single space sort of floating on the top, and it just gives me a good overall overview. Now, when I then click, oh, you don't see my screen? Oh, look at that. I think something happened. We'll just I'll just share my screen again. How about now? Can you see my screen right now? Just a quick check. Yeah, it's okay. All right, perfect. All right. So I was saying the dollhouse. So this is something that you guys are familiar with. So right, I can look all around. It gives you a good overall overview of this of the property and how the rooms are connected. Now, when I then actually click in one of those rooms on one of those dots or anywhere in the dollhouse, I actually move into the virtual tour, and that's a virtual tour that you guys will be creating to ultimately get to the result that, or everything that I'm going to show you today. All right, so again, we have the virtual tour here, and but more on the tips later on. And I can now move through that property to basically look all around. And as you probably saw just now, when I click, instead of zooming out and zooming in, I'm kind of gliding through. So it's a more immersive experience already. Now, then on the left side, right here, we have a small little white floor plan. And that basically serves as an idea of where you are inside the property. So you see this green little dot, that's me. So you can see that I'm in the middle of the living room at the moment, all right? If I then click on bird view, now we have the dollhouse, but we've just seen that. If I click on bird view, I go back and I have sort of a bird's eye view of the property, similar to the floor plan, but it is a little bit more visual. There's color there, so it gives me sort of a top view of the property. Okay, now I'm going back to the virtual tour, and then I want to go to the buttons over here. Right, on the right side, one of the things is the measurements, something that can be extremely useful. So when I click on that little measurement icon, you immediately see that measurements everywhere start to pop up, which is obviously really, really cool. Now, one important thing to mention here is that these measurements are not 100% accurate. So it's more of a, to give you an idea of the sizes of the different rooms. It's about 85 to 90% accurate. So definitely don't make buying decisions for furniture or the house based on the measurements. It's more for illustrative purposes and to give you an idea of the size of certain rooms, especially when it's empty. When I'm in a bedroom, it might be a bit tricky to figure out, okay, how big is this really? And those measurements, even though not 100% accurate, actually give you a decent idea, all right? So, and now I want to go, and this is a perfect example actually that I'm showing you today. Now I want to kind of go to the key feature or functionality, and that's about the sort of the 3D rendered staging, because I'm looking at a completely empty space. Obviously, a good space, decent size here, but most people are not capable of visualizing what it potentially could be. We're not all designers, so we need a little help. And that is what we can do when we actually click on style on the right side, right above the measurement icon. When I do that, instantly the screen will split in half. So we have a split screen. And now on the left side, I have my virtual tour that that you can walk through. And on the right side, I have an exact replica of that space, fully furnished, fully staged. You can see the living room, all of it is right there. So I can see what that actual space looks like, and at the same time, what the vision of the future potentially is, and now I'm really getting a feel for what my future home could look like. I'm really starting to get that connection. If I'm really just looking at an empty space, not much is happening, and I might leave quickly. Here, I really have that side-by-side comparison. Helps so much overall. And if I want to get into a bit more detail, I can click on this icon here at the bottom, and we'll go to full screen of that particular a staged property. So I can now, the same way that I was moving through the virtual tour, I'm now moving through the staged version of that virtual tour. And if I want to go back, I simply either click here, so I'm back in the split screen, or if I just want to go back to the virtual tour, then I click on the exit icon here at the bottom, and I'm back at that virtual tour right here. Now, I want to go back really quickly and say, if I now, in this split screen, click on Dollhouse, instead of one dollhouse, I immediately see two. So I see the actual virtual tour, the dollhouse based on the virtual tour, and I see the staged version of that property as well. So really cool, really visual. And if I go back in, immediately I'm back in that split screen, even with measurements here. And if I want to turn those measurements off, I can simply click on the measurement button and we're good to go. So really, really, really cool. Now I have one other sample that I want to show you with a functionality that is also super useful. Just making sure that you can, yeah, I think you can all see me, so we're all good. Takes a few seconds to load here. So we're back, we have a different property here, again, a dollhouse. And we go in, right? And now I just want to quickly go to the living room here. By the way, this is another way of navigating. You see that on the left side, all of the available rooms. Now here in this space, this is a fully furnished space, but as you can, probably agree with me, it's a bit cluttered. It's, in terms of design, there's probably some stuff that could be improved. And we have an additional functionality here. Here, the Nordic style is the style of that 3D staged property. But next to that, in every single one of our options here, there will be white. And when I click on white, it will show me a complete white version of this space, right? So completely empty. Oh, I'll just move into the bedroom here. Here we go. Completely empty, still with the actual virtual tour on the left and the actual empty property on the right. Now, why? Because when it's so cluttered, when there's so much stuff around, when there's so much furniture, it is difficult to visualize what that size really is, or maybe see the structure of specific rooms. So that's why we have the style, the fully furnished version, as well as the white one. For me to have an idea, okay, now in this particular virtual tour on the left, we're seeing that it's a bedroom, but maybe, if I'm looking at this space on the right side, I want to make this an office or, well, anything, or a small little library, or, a playroom, whatever it is, but it can give you a bit more freedom and flexibility, to let your mind run free. And at the same time also have the possibility, again, if I want to click on Nordic, I can see that fully furnished room here, a similar, similarly done as in the actual virtual tour, the actual property. This is a bedroom. So super cool, right? Super simple in a way, but highly, highly, highly effective, especially online, especially for properties that are not furnished, as well as for properties that are maybe, in terms of design, are not that great, or they're just very cluttered. All of that, they would be really good options to use this particular solution. Now the question is, how do I get here? How do I actually get to this result? And as I mentioned before, 50% of the work is done by you. The other 50% is done by us, and your 50% is creating the actual virtual tour of the actual physical property. That's something that we cannot do, but you can. So the first step is that you actually need an iStaging pay-by-usage subscription that will enable you to actually create that virtual tour. You can either, you can capture it with any device you'd like. So you can either use our VR Maker smartphone app, or you can use any 360 camera. Doesn't really matter, all right? But the first step is to get yourself an account. If you already have one, you're all set. Fantastic, perfect. Now, there are a couple of other requirements, a couple of other things that are going to be important when you're actually capturing, to make sure that we can get to a result of what you're seeing here today. All right, number one, and this is pretty straightforward, capture every single room. Now, I'll just shut this down. I'll go back, stop sharing. Okay, good. All right, so number one, as I mentioned, capture every single room, because if you don't, then you will get an incomplete virtual tour, an incomplete dollhouse, an incomplete floor plan. All of it will be incomplete. So that's the first step. Step number two is making sure, and you'll probably do this anyway, but it is important to mention, that all doors are open while you're capturing. Also important because we need to be able to see, you need to be able to see where you're going, and also for our system, the hotspots need to be connected. All right, so if I go there, I need to be able to see the next hotspot, the next standpoint where I'm actually capturing. So keep doors open at all times if you want to take advantage of this solution. Number three is the camera height. So the camera height should be about 135 centimeters high, around that. And that should be about 4.5 feet, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, feel free to correct me. But that should be the height of capturing, and make sure that it's consistent throughout your entire capture. All right, that's probably going to be the case anyway, because you're going to put your camera or your smartphone on a tripod and you'll just carry it, so it'll stay the same height. So that's number three. And number four is not so much a tip, but it's more something that you guys need to know, that our system at the moment only can do this, everything that I showed you today, for one floor at a time. So if you have a multi-story building, a multi-story property with multiple floors, then you're gonna get different or separate URL links. So you would have to get, order for each one of the floors essentially. So that's something that our team is working on. So right now it's good for maybe apartments or condos, that don't have multiple floors, I guess. All right. So those are some of the tips. But in terms of prices, so what we've got is right now, this solution is not actually launched yet. We will launch it officially at the end of August, beginning of September. But until that time, today, I'm giving you exclusive access to actually pre-order this, if you'd like, for about 40% of the discounted price, of the original price, 40% off. So you can actually do that, and Phoebe will send out the link to actually pre-order today. And there are 3 packages. So the pricing depends on the number of hotspots that you've got in your virtual tour. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. If you have 1 to 10 hotspots, a virtual tour of 1 to 10 hotspots, the discounted pre-order price is $95. And for that price, you get everything you saw today. So the dollhouse, you get the measurements, you get obviously the virtual tour, you get the floor plan, you get the 2D top view, you get the actual 3D rendering, and the side-by-side combination. All of that is included for that price. If you are between 11 and 20 hotspots, it'll be $125. And if you're at 21 or more hotspots, so 21 to 30, the maximum is 30, you're looking at $170 for all of this. And obviously, I'm hoping that price surprises you in a way, because if you want to get all of this stuff, then usually, it's probably going to cost you over $1,000, sometimes even thousands of dollars to do something like that. And now you get a link that is all inclusive. So now for the pre-order, you will be able to use that until the end of the year. So even if you don't have a virtual tour right now, but you know that you're going to have one in a couple of weeks, then that pre-order right now would be very beneficial for you. And you can even use it, in September, October, or November. Basically, as I said, until the end of the year, you'll be able to take advantage of it. Until the end of August, September, we will go to the original standard prices. Okay, I think that I've been talking for about 20 minutes, and I'd love to see if there are any questions from you guys today. I would love to, so I'll check with Phoebe if there are any questions, if you guys asked anything. If not, that's also fine, but now would be the time to ask any questions. So I'll give you a few. Oh, I see that Phoebe, just mentioned that. So feel free to ask any questions, guys. I hope that today was clear. This is, something that has been requested many, many times by many of our clients in the real estate industry, also in the design industry. They wanted to have that virtual staging opportunity. It is a little bit different from maybe other virtual staging software because it's not actually you doing the staging. We're offering this, an exact replica, which is basically a 3D rendered staged version with a side-by-side comparison. Really cool. Ultimately, the result is a one URL link that you can share and embed, and on the listing pages, listing website, wherever you want. One thing that I forgot to mention: those 3 packages are actually listed on the exclusive offer page that Phoebe just sent out. And you'll see all 3 listed, but you can just select the one that you want, and then the other 2 set to 0, and then ultimately you'll get an option to delete it from the page, so that you actually only have the right offer that you want to get, and you can select the quantity. So if you want to get more than one, feel free to do that as well. So that's important, and ultimately it will immediately adjust the price at the top. So make sure that's how you can see if you're actually getting it right. Just making sure that you don't accidentally order something that you actually don't want. All right. Well, I don't think that there are any questions right now. I don't see any questions at the moment. Now, if you still come up with any questions later on, today or tomorrow or maybe next week, whenever, feel free to reach out to us. You can send an email to hello@istaging.com. There's a chat widget on the bottom right side of our website as well, or a contact form. So you can ask us any questions, and our team will get back to you as soon as possible. In the next month or so, you will receive more information regarding this, with features and possibilities, and the pre-order option 2 in the next few weeks, up until the end of August, beginning of September. So please keep that in mind. Right now, it is still at 40% discount of the original price. So if you have something there, I would highly recommend. If you are interested, I would highly recommend to take advantage of the pre-order. I do see that someone is typing, so I'll give it a few seconds before I say goodbye to you guys. Or maybe not. Well, anyway, if that was someone that wanted to ask a question, just reach out to us after the webinar and we'll get in touch. It will be available, the recording, on YouTube tomorrow, so you can always watch back. German, thank you so much. I hope that you guys enjoyed today. I hope that you learned something. Like Phoebe said, I want to thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And then we hope to see you next week in episode 3 of the series. This was episode 2. Next week, episode 3, where we're talking about how to build an online virtual retail store. Also really, really cool. And we'll show something so awesome, also something new. I mean, I have to say, our team has been building and updating and launching new features so rapidly in the past couple months. It's even hard for us to keep up, but we're doing our best to let you guys experience and use all of it. So I would highly recommend, if you haven't registered for the whole series, I would highly recommend that you do that that you sign up for the next one. And I hope to see you next Thursday, same time. Thanks a lot, and see you guys soon. Cheers.